Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Newcastle Jets attacker Daniel Stynes. Daniel, thank you for joining me.
Hey mate, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No worries. So, firstly, to growing up, your younger life, were you always into soccer at a young age, or were there any other sports you played growing up?
No, it was always soccer for me. When I was younger, my older brother, he really, I think he really helped my passion for football as well as my dad. I was always down the park with them, practicing every day after school with my mates. It was always soccer for me, to be honest.
And obviously, since you've come into the A League, you've been more of that winger sort of player. Were you always a winger growing up?
Yeah, I was a winger growing up, and then I transitioned more into a number 10 attacking midfielder. Um, and I played out wide. I played attacking midfield a lot of the time at Perth, and I've mainly played winger here
Yeah.
at Jets. But I'd say, yeah, I love playing attacking midfield. That's probably my favorite position.
And now to Perth Glory because you spent most of your A League time there. Just talk to me firstly about like the step up from NPL to A League and how big that was for you.
Yeah, it was. It's always a big step. I feel A League's obviously the best competition in Australia for a reason, and I think when you're playing, I was lucky enough that I played in the Perth Glory Academy early on, so we had the youth league, and we also were playing in the NPL. So back when the youth league was running, you'd play against players similar age, similar ability, obviously against other A League teams. So you could test yourself against them in a technical way, but then you'd go and play in the NPL where it's men's football, and um it's a much more physical game. So I was lucky enough that I had that blend of experience from both of those. But look, yeah, it's a step up. I think I made my debut at Perth when I was 17 or 18. Um, in the FFA Cup. So um, yeah, look, it's a big step up. But I think those NPL/youth league, I know they don't have it anymore, but back then it gave you a good stepping stone to go into the A League.
And now I believe you were in the 2018-19 Perth team that made the grand final. What was being a part of that team like for you?
Yeah, that was a crazy feeling around the club. I played the first game again in the FFA Cup, and I unfortunately got injured quite badly in my ankle. I had to have surgery on my ankle, so I was injured for the whole A League season, unfortunately. But in saying that, just being around the group, it was incredible. Tony Popovich came in and revolutionized the club, and really gave the people of Perth a lot of hope and a lot of success. I still remember the grand final was 55,000 at Optus against Sydney, which was crazy experience for Perth, especially football in Perth, because obviously a lot in Perth, the AFL dominates a lot of the sporting world there. So to see 55,000 at the grand final at Optus was crazy. It would have been nice if we won it, but look, it was still an incredible experience.
And I'm glad you brought up the injuries because that was actually my next question. I believe you had a fair few injuries during your time at Perth. Talk about that and how you dealt with those setbacks.
Yeah, so I was early on in my career. I was quite unfortunate with the nature of my injuries and also with the timing. Both of my major injuries were just before the start of the A League season, so it set me back massively. But you know, it taught me a lot of things that obviously now being a bit older, you you learn invaluable things. How to look after yourself, how you can appreciate being on the pitch every day because it's a privilege to be on the pitch. There's a lot of guys who when they have long-term injuries, it's the only thing you want to do. That's what you love to do. You don't want to be in the gym doing rehab. So it taught me a lot about professionalism and a lot about how to deal with overcoming setbacks early on in your career.
And now you obviously this year you made the switch from the Glory to the Jets. How did the move to join the Newcastle Jets come about for you?
Um, Arthur called me, in the off season, and he talked about me coming over, and that was something that I said to a lot of people that Jets were the best team to watch last year by a country mile. The attacking football they played, um, the players they had, the way they were set up. It was something that was very attractive to me as an attacking player, and it was yeah. Once the boss called me, I knew straight away this was the place I wanted to come to.
And now obviously you had Callum Timmins and Brandon O'Neill come across as well to Newcastle. Did that sort of make your transition to Newcastle a little bit easier knowing you have those two coming across too?
Yeah, for sure, mate. Obviously, I said in an interview a few weeks ago that I've known Brano and Cal for a long time, so it was really nice coming over with them. I lived with Brano for the first sort of 2-3 weeks before I got my own place here, and yeah, definitely made the transition easy.
And now, obviously, something we have to talk about is that goal against Western United. We've heard in a lot of interviews that you said Hoffman and Elsie were telling you in the warm up, but could you like describe that goal for you?
Yeah, um, yeah. Look, it was definitely probably the best goal I've scored in my career so far. Um, yeah, look, it was crazy. We started off very well in that game. I felt very well. We created a lot of chances, and then obviously Lockie Wales, he scored a top goal that day too. Um, but after that goal, I never really felt like we were, we were down. I always felt we were going to come back. And basically, when the ball came to me, I only really had one thing on my mind. I was going to cut in because that's I've always practiced that kind of shot, cutting in and shooting. So once I came in and once it left my foot, I knew it was going in, which was just obviously a great time to score your first goal for the club as well.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a great goal. But now to more some general questions. What hobbies do you sort of have outside of football?
So I'm actually studying law right now. So I wouldn't really call that a hobby,
Yeah.
but that's just something I'm doing on the side. Um, Uni degree. So yeah, that's obviously something that I have on the side. I love going for coffee. I love music. So they're probably the three.
And with the coffee, do you have a particular favorite place that you go to get your coffee in Newcastle?
I'd say Extraction.
And now on
On
yeah, yeah,
yeah on King Street. Yeah,
King Street,
top
yeah.
coffee.
I've heard
Yeah.
of that. Yeah. Now on to the favorite beaches in Newcastle. Obviously, I was talking to Reno the other day, and he lives right on Newcastle. But do you have a particular favorite beach in Newcastle?
I would say Dixon Beach. Yeah, I really like that beach. I've been 3 or 4 times, and yeah, I really love it there. And I love going the bogey hole too. That's kind of I probably go there the most out of anywhere in Newcastle. So yeah, I love that spot.
Do you have any like I guess superstitions before a match day game?
Nah, not really, mate. Not really. I always kind of eat the same things day before on game day, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's a superstition. It's more routine. Like if I have something slightly different, it won't really bother me.
Yeah. And obviously, we got Wellington away this weekend, which is always a tough place to go for any side in the league. How are the boys feeling? Obviously, on the back of a loss from last weekend, but how determined are the boys to turn it around this weekend in such a tricky place to go?
Yeah, like you said, it's never an easy place to go, Wellington. It's actually similar to Perth in that respect. But look, the lads are very determined to turn around. We yeah, we reflected on the game on the weekend, and um, everyone's ready to put that right again. And really kick on.
And before we end, we have most of the fan questions were, what is your best advice you could give to young footballers trying to make it professionally?
Um, Look, obviously, working hard is a non-negotiable. You have to be obsessed with getting better every day. I feel that's if you want to be a professional footballer, I feel you have to have that ingredient. But I also feel like you should enjoy your football as much as you can, because you'll never get that time back. And I often think about the times when, I was younger, probably the ages of 11 to 15, where I would be down the park with my mates kicking a ball around. And it was the most enjoyable times. So I think if you can marry those two things up, you have a very good chance.
All right, that is all. Thank you everyone for watching, but mainly thank you to you, Daniel, for coming on. I wish you all the best for the season. Hopefully we see more goals like that in the rest of the season.
Thanks for having me on, mate. I really appreciate you taking the time to have me on. And yeah, like you said, hopefully we can kick on.
Thank you.
Cheers, Matt.